Hello guys, welcome to this Android application development tutorial. So today we'll be learning the concept of SQLite database. In today's tutorial, we'll learn what an SQLite database is, how to create a database, how to create table, how to write queries for insert, update, delete, view, and we'll try to implement one program with the help of SQLite database. So let me first begin with the explanation of what an SQLite is. So SQLite is nothing but an open source database which is inbuilt available in Android Studio. To use this SQLite, we don't have to install any additional database. It is, as I said, inbuilt available in our Android Studio. This SQLite supports almost all of the data types like text, real, etc. Now let us discuss about some of the methods which we'll be using in terms of SQLite database. So the methods which we will be using are onCreate and onUpgrade. OnCreate actually helps us to do two things, that is to read and to write something in terms of SQLite. That means let's assume that I want to insert something. So to insert something I must be able to write. So this writable database feature is provided with the help of onCreate. Likewise, if I have inserted something and then I want to view it, that means I want to read it, then this get readable database method is also provided by this onCreate. So that is what we'll be using. And next thing is onUpgrade, in which we will be basically mentioning about the database version, whatever version we are using or the old version we are using. So this we will be mentioning with the help of onUpgrade. Now next thing what we'll be using is one of the important concept, that is content value. Content value basically uses the concept of key value pair. So key value, now this key value in terms of our SQLite will be whatever column we'll be creating inside a table. So we'll be taking as that column name as key, and whatever value or data we'll be inserting, that we can take as a value. So we'll use this content value to mention key and value. That means key as our column name and value as our data. So this is one of the important thing which we'll be using. And next thing what we'll be using is we will be taking the help of SQLite Open Helper class. Now here you can see SQLite Open Helper class. This is nothing but you can say as an we can use as an library function which consists of everything related to SQLite. So we'll take help of SQLite Open Helper class, which provides us various functionalities related to SQLite. So these were important things. Now let's move to our program coding section. Now here you can see I have already created one project and already designed the XML file. That means my design portion is already done, in which I have simply used relative layout. Along with that I have dragged some edit text. Two columns will be creating, that is one to enter name, one to enter password. This add button will help us to insert this name and password in our database. With the help of view we can view what are the various users we have added in terms of name and password. We can update it, and basically I have used name to be updated. Likewise I'll be using name to delete my record from the database. So let's begin. Now before doing code in this main activity file, let us first create a database, write queries, complete that portion for our SQLite. So to do that, I'll create one additional Java class file and I'll name it as my database adapter. So this will be the name of my file. Okay. Now in this file we'll be working and doing all the things related to SQLite. So the first thing what I'll do is I'll create an object of this adapter that will be my database helper, and its object is my helper. So I'll remove this and mention this. Now why I am creating this, I'll explain it after some time. Okay. Now next thing what I'll do is I'll use this and connect it with my Java main file. And here I'll use this my helper class which I have created. Okay. So I'll just mention. Okay, now the first thing what we'll be doing is we will create our database. So I'll mention that here we'll be doing is we'll be creating database code. Now I'll use this, that is my database helper. So and extend it with SQLite open helper. So as I said, this SQLite open helper, what it will do is it will work as a library file. Here you can see it has been imported and it will work as a library file and provide us everything related to SQLite. So now I'll implement the method. It consists of two methods which I already explained, that is on create and on upgrade. So I'll implement both the methods. So now our methods have been implemented. Okay. So now we can start writing the code. So let's begin with creation of database. So first thing I'll do is I'll create an object that is database name, and here I'll mention the name of my database, that is my database. So this is the name of my database. So I'll use this to create other things. Next thing is table name. So I'm taking the table name as my table. Okay. I mentioned private available within only. So next thing what I'll use is I'll use version of database. So in place of string I'll use int and database version. So let's take the version as 1. This is the version of SQLite. Okay, now the fields what we require, which we want in our table. Now looking at the design of our program, we require two fields. So those are the fields which we will generate, and I'll generate one additional field, that is ID, which will be auto increment type and which will be primary key. For that we don't have to mention, it will be automatic. ID next name and last one will be password. So these are the fields which we require. Now I'll write the query to create a table. So the query will be similar to what we do in SQL. So that is create table, our table name that will be just mention table name, then the fields what is required. So the first one will be UID, that is ID. Okay. So UID is the first field. Just mention this is integer type of primary key and it will increment itself, that means auto increment. Now next thing required is name. I'll just remove this and I'll just bring it up. Now name will be of type varchar and size I'll give it as, let's say, 255. And now the third one will be my password field. So I'll mention that password of type varchar 255 again. Now it's done. Now our query is done. To create a table. Now next thing, let's assume that what if this table already exists. So if this table already exists, then what we'll do is we will write one query, that is to drop the table. So I'll write one more query to drop the table. So the query is very simple: drop table if exists. If it exists, then simply drop it. That's what it means. So I'll mention which table to drop. It will drop this particular table name, that is my table. Okay, so I'm just checking the spellings, because if there is one single spelling mistake, then it won't work. Okay, it's okay. So now almost our database creation is almost done. So next thing what I'll do is I'll create one context file, and connect it with my helper. Here I'll just mention my database name and database version. Okay, this is also done. Now here I have to execute this. So what I'll do is I'll execute the query. So dp dot execute SQL, that is create table, and if there is some problem it will catch exception and return me the error. So likewise for here, that is on upgrade also, I'll execute the drop query. Simply copy this catch portion. So here dp dot execute SQL, that is drop table. So I am executing both the queries and create the new one. Here I am mentioning. Okay, so this is done. Okay. Now our creation of table, dropping of table, checking if that exists, these things are done. Now we will write the query for insert. Okay, next will be view, update, these are the 4 queries which we will be writing now. Okay, let's begin with insert code. Okay, so we'll continue with this insert portion. Basically, insert query. So here I'll create a long object, that is insert data with fields name and password. So these are the 2 fields which we'll be inserting. So that's what I am using. Return, so use this. So let me first complete. Okay, so I'll take help of SQLite DataBase. Create the object, that is DB. Take help of my helper dot get writable. So as I have already mentioned, writable and readable thing we'll be using, and next is we'll be using content value. So I'll create an object of it, new content values, so it will help us achieve key value. So dot my database helper name, this is my key, and this is where I'll insert the value. This name I'll connect it with my actual code in my main activity.java. So likewise I'll be connecting it with second one, that is password, and connect it with pass. Use this insert my database helper dot insert it in my table. So what I have to insert the content values. So our insert query is done. So I'll just mention query out here. Okay, likewise view query, update query, and last one will be delete query. Okay, so again we will now begin with view query. So public string get data is what I'll be using. Okay, now again I'll take help of SQLite database, create an object of it, take help of my helper dot get writable database, create string because I want to read things, read columns, want to read few of the things. That is first one, UID, second name, then the third one, password. So these are the things which I'll be reading. Now with the help of cursor, I'll execute the query. So my database helper in table name with columns, and rest will be null, 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 null. There will be 5 null values. Okay. So basically these are grouped by, order by. So these things I am not doing. So that is why I am placing it as null. Okay. The spelling is correct. Now next thing what I'll do is I'll create buffer. Now here what I'll do is basically in my database there will be many records. So I have to move to certain positions like number 1 there are some values, number 2, so it should be able to move and read all the values. So that's what I'll be running with the help of while loop. So while my cursor is moved to next, then also it should be able to read all the values, and here I will return buffer. So this is the thing. So now I'll write the code for this. So cursor dot get int cursor dot get column index, whatever index position it is, it will read it, and just mention database helper dot uid. So with the help of id it will read my position. That's what it means. Now I have to mention what are the things it should read. So the thing it will read is name, and next will be password. So I'll just copy this and change the name. So here in place of name I'll change it to password, and here we'll simply change it to password. So this is also done. Now next will be our update query. So let's complete it. update name, old name and new name. So with the help of old name, I'll be updating some new name. Again the same SQLite database object I'll create helper dot. Okay, now content values. Okay, now with the help of content value, I'll put my database helper. Okay, so I'll just cut it. Okay, so here I'll just mention I want to update that is name to the new name. Create a string object. I'll use this as old name. So this old name will get updated with the new one. So my database helper, table name and content values. Now I will use my database helper dot name to be replaced with the old one, which is stored in where args. So this is done. Now I will return the count. Okay, now we have the last query, that is to delete. So public int delete will directly do it with the help of name only. I just need to mention SQLite database object dot get writable database. Now here I'll create the string. So here I'll use this uname and I'll use this same thing. So I'll just copy and paste it. I'll just change the query. So my helper dp dot delete content value is not required. So my helper dot, so this thing will remain same only because I am using name only. So with this our queries are complete. Now our query thing is complete. So in the next part 2 tutorial of this one, we'll begin coding in my activity.java, and here we'll connect our XML file with Java, and we'll also retrieve our queries in our main activity Java and complete the program, and then run the output and check if our database is actually performing what we desire, like to insert, update, delete, and view the data. So I'll see you guys in the part 2 of this Android SQLite database tutorial. So if you have any questions in the part 1 of this SQLite database, then you can ask in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.